Great to see you both.
Good morning.
Alex, are women who think this is outdated and potentially sexist, because it's only included men for the past few years, is it a bit po-faced?
I think that's an accusation you're bound to get when you criticise something like this. I mean, in terms of sexism, it's definitely at the milder end of the scale. There are things that are far more offensive, but it's a slippery slope. And
why is it sexist?
Well, just because men are included, it doesn't mean that women are any less objectified. You know, the objectification of men, it doesn't diminish their economic or professional power, but when you objectify women, you get the pay gap, you get discrimination in the workplace. So I think
actually women who self-objectify their bodies in entertainment tend to make more money than the women who don't. So that argument doesn't wash.
I don't think so, and I don't think a lot of women are putting...
Linda Evangelista didn't get out of bed for less than 10 grand. The supermodels, I don't remember male supermodels getting paid anything like the women.
Except it was her job to show off her body in clothes, whereas...
It was her choice.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that was her industry.
And she made a ton of money, much more than the male models at the time were getting. So where do you take this sexism argument?
That's one of the few pay gaps in which women benefit.
We're all becoming so po-faced, aren't we? I mean, goodness me. There's so many other things out there that are far worse. Like, you know, she's admitted to being a Love Island fan.
Exactly.
She's happy to watch people have sex on telly, but she's worried about saying something that, you know, is so harmless. I mean, Susanna, if you were awarded it, would you accept it?
Do you know what? I wouldn't want to do a whole day of interviews about the state of my bottom.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind reading a few interviews.
Well, that's mainly
Piers,
the reason why I wouldn't accept it.
I would accept it in a heartbeat.
So would I.
From what I understand, they ask you if you're prepared to accept it, right? So you don't get the rejection.
No, you don't get nominated.
Nobody asked me. They've assumed Idris Elba is better equipped in the posterior area than me. Without any... Well, there's no evidence.
Absolutely.
How do they know? How do they know Idris is better equipped in the butt area than me?
If women don't laugh about it, we're like, oh, they're just very serious feminists, you know, they're not having it, it's just light-hearted fun.
But why should you stop Rachel Riley accepting that award?
I don't want to stop her. Do you know what I'd love to see? I don't think we should ban this, but I think instead of celebrating people for having the best posterior, why don't we make it about the person who's been the biggest ass that year? Piers, I think there are plenty of people.
Absolute genius. I don't think we can top that comment. Great stuff. We definitely should celebrate Brain of the Year, because I think Rachel Riley would also count in that.
But why would you celebrate Brain of the Year? That's an organ. So you're happy to celebrate certain organs, but not others. If we're going to celebrate organs like the brain, why can't we celebrate other body parts?
But the bottom isn't an organ.
The bottom isn't an organ.
There are other areas near the bottom.
Listen, at least, you know, we're celebrating a lovely natural bottom. There's no silly enhancements. You know, she's a beautiful girl. Yes. She obviously keeps fit. You know, she eats well, she's slim, and we're all trying to stop obesity in this country. I think that she's a great role model.
I do agree, she's a great role model, and I think that there is more of an innocence about this award than other things of its kind, but it's I guess, along the same lines of Streaking and Carry On films. They were off its time. They were quite charming back in the day.
Do you object to the Miss England competition, for example?
It wouldn't be for me. I just think we shouldn't look at women. We shouldn't reduce them to their looks. And I think that.
And yet you love Love Island, which celebrates people having sex on national TV.
Sex is such. You haven't watched it. You've admitted to not watching it. It's a small part of it.
I'm reading The Sun.
Oh, don't take the Sun's word for how much sex there is on Love Island.
Sun's one of the biggest selling papers in the country.
11,000 people voted for Rear of the Year. 11,000 people must think that it's, you know, a worthy cause.
But we're a nation of, what, like 65 million, so I don't think that's exactly representative.
Spoiling people's fun.
I totally agree, Linda.
I really don't. You know, I think we're being too po-faced.
We're getting so po-faced.
And there's so much tragedy and terrible things.
These days. Stop being so offended.
But if we weren't offended, if the suffragettes weren't offended, women would never have the votes.
You think Emmeline Pankhurst is up there looking down going, I want you to ban Rear of the Year? No, she says if Rachel Riley wants to do it, wants to accept it and is proud of her posterior, we should all let her be proud of it.
You're more offended by things than anyone I know.
I find that allegation offensive.
18 minutes past 8. See what I mean?